Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy Bent with the Chris and Sandy Show. We get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I said in every episode, we got a great one for you. Who do we have?
We have Lloyd J. Schwartz with us today. He is a playwright and a man of all media. He wrote for the TV series Love, American Style, Alice, The Munsters Today, The A-Team, The Love Boat, Baywatch, and more. As an ABC network executive, he supervised production on Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, What's Happening, and Three's Company. With his father, TV legend Sherwood Schwartz, he co-created Harper Valley P.T.A. He has also produced numerous iterations of the Brady Bunch and Gilligans Island franchises for feature films, television, and stage, and he has also produced 34 plays.
And we're excited to have him here. And that was a handful of stuff.
That's just a handful. We're going to talk about all that
and more.
A lot more.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I'm only 26, so I don't know how I did all those things you talked
about. That's getting a lot done.
I always like to start the show out the same way because last 18, 20 months been rough for a lot of people, especially entertainment.
Yes.
Yeah. And I always like to hear different perspectives because everybody's went through COVID in a different way.
Yeah.
So how has COVID affected you and what have you done to maneuver through this?
Well, I've had it a lot easier than most people because I'm basically a writer. So before the COVID, I would get up in the morning and I would go and write. And with the COVID, I'd get up in the morning and I'd go and write. The only thing is for all writers during the COVID, when they haven't been able to go out and sell things, everybody's been stockpiling screenplays and TV pilots and all of this. So I pity the executives in the short term here, where they're going to get a stack of things on their desk.
Yeah.
I've been mostly preparing. I'm doing a lot of theater now. So I've been mostly preparing for theater. I have about 4 plays coming up that in different parts of the country. So I have that to worry about. And our children's theater, which had been shut down during the COVID, that starts again in 2 weeks. So awesome. I have those things. It's, a lot of Zooming like this, that's something nobody was prepared for. So, I mean, now you have to, but now you don't have to wear pants for meetings. That's good.
That's
right. Like for us, we launched this show January 2020. So a couple months before COVID.
Yeah.
And, our original plan was maybe 100 interviews first year, and then bam, COVID happens. And I'm sitting there like, well, this is our time to shine. Let's step it up. And because of that, we did over 300 interviews in 2020. Wow. We're over 500 now.
That's fantastic. I bet you I know a lot of the people you've been interviewing. I don't know.
Yep. No. It's definitely moved up. It's crazy. Again, we just running the whole show right from a room of our home. And here it is.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing what we could do.
Yeah, it is. I mean, art is defined by its limitations. And so we all use these things to somehow create new art forms. I mean, I've done plays on Zoom too. I'm not in favor of that. I much prefer to have plays in person. But, we're doing a Very Brady musical and we did a Zoom presentation. And as soon as this pandemic slows down, at least, there's going to be a national tour of that.
Oh, wow.
So, awesome.
Yeah. It's a musical. It's kind of in the tone, remember the feature films were just satirical.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that. It's like that. And so that's coming up. And, as I say, we have to prepare for all these things.
I love your whole idea of the couples counseling one. Tell us about that. The concept is just too cool.
Yes, we love that.
Well, that's about 2 couples, and both of them are based upon my wife and me.
Okay.
Yes. And so these are couples, and they're about 70 or something. And the wives can't stand it anymore because one husband is just full of jokes and the other husband is full of facts. And so they decide to switch partners.
Oh,
and so
wow.
That's the play. And I've done it mostly with television stars, the people I've worked with over the years. It's like Kathy Garver and Chris Knight and Fred Grandy and Eileen Graff, and I mix and match people, and then they go out and do the play. So,
oh wow,
and you also got one where you do for like Romeo and Juliet and all that.
That's the play that's coming up right now, and that's we open April 1st, and that's called Classic Couples Counseling.
Ooh,
and this idea is
I love this concept.
Yeah, there's a therapist who is a therapist for Shakespearean characters. And so in the different sessions, like Romeo and Juliet come in, Hamlet and Ophelia, Desdemona and Othello, and Kate and Petruchio, and then Macbeth and Lady Macbeth. And they all go through these sessions with her, and she's not a very good therapist, and she's kind of a whack job. And so what happens, and there's a big group session where all these people are together, and Petruchio's hitting on Juliet, and Othello's mad at everybody, and Lady Macbeth threatens to kill everybody, and there's a fight scenes and all that. And then at the end of the play, I'm giving the plot away, but I don't think it matters much. I mean, because of the advice this woman gives, that's why they all die in all the Shakespearean plays.
I love it. Again, when I read the bio and read the whole script of that, I'm sitting there like, I love that idea.
Like, this is great. Yeah.
You know something I've written, I don't know, I've had 34, 40 plays produced or something by now, and there's not many that I believe that can go to Broadway. And this one, I really think could have a home there. Besides, we're doing this production starting April 1st for about 4 or 5 weeks in Los Angeles. And after that, we'll see what happens with it. And I'd love to come to Savannah. I'll be on your show. I'll come to Savannah.
There we go.
Yes.
But this show's in your house, so you have to invite me over for dinner.
Yeah,
we can do that.
We can do that. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and you come from a writer's family. I love this. Tell everybody who your father is and how has that influenced what you do?
Well, my dad and his brother started off writing in radio for Bob Hope. And so, it goes way back. And then they did a lot of radio, and then they got into television when television first started, starting with like I Married Joan and My Favorite Martian. And Dad wrote with his brother, they wrote Red Skelton Show for 8 years. And then I started joining him. He did with Gilligan's Island. And so I started as a dialogue coach for Gilligan's Island. And then when he created the Brady Bunch, I moved over and was the dialogue coach on the Brady Bunch, and then moved up and was associate producer, executive producer, director, writer, about everything. And I've done everything on Brady since the last, as long as it's been on. And the Brady's been on in some ways since 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 10s, teens, going into the 20s. And in the meantime, I've done a lot of other stuff,
Now with Brady Bunch and the other ones, did y'all realize what a phenomenon they were going to be at the beginning?
How iconic those would become.
Yeah, Dad was often asked that question. His answer was certainly.
I love that answer.
But no, we didn't. In fact, when the Brady Bunch was on originally, it was not a big hit. It was barely hanging on, but kids were younger. And when it got to syndication, that's when it became this giant thing that everybody knows all the episodes. And it's become it's left television. It's become like Americana.
And
same with Gilligan. There's references all the time. I don't think if you ever got on a boat and somebody says, "I hope this isn't a 3-hour tour," like.
Yes, we all know that reference.
Absolutely. I loved that. Speaking of, you've had a long career. You've done a lot of stuff. Yeah. And a lot of people, they see the glory in what you do and the glory of what the actors do and the artists do, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles it takes to get to the top. And I always want to talk about that side of it, because I think a lot of times people kind of gloss over this and they're like, if you got talent, you'll make it. But we both know that's not true. A lot of people with talent that never make it. So let's talk about some of the sacrifices and struggles you've had to go through your years.
Well, I'll put it this way. I took the 90s off unintentionally.
Oh, wow.
It allowed me to help raise my kids a lot more than I would have been around. Yeah. But you have to have that discipline to think, you think you're going to keep making it. And so that continues to this day. I mean, you're talking about the sacrifices right now for people of my age. There's an ageism thing, and everybody wants people who are young to be working. Fortunately, television has changed. There's so many, streaming and cables and YouTube. There's if you can do stuff. I mean, I'm switching up because I'm not talking about the hardships. I'm talking about there is a place where you can get your own little 5-minute scene on and YouTube channels and all that. But it's a matter of persevering and keep going, and hopefully it will work. But I've taught at UCLA producing for television, and
Oh, well.
people are always saying how hard it is to go into the business. But I'll also say every studio, every network, everything is just filled with people who were told it's hard to get into the business.
And like you were saying, it's hard, but at the same time, I think it's a little bit easier than it's a catch-22 because because of social media and video and all that, more people are applying for the same roles, but at the same time, there are so many more roles because, like you said, there's the Netflix, there's HBO, there's all the the internet has been a game changer.
Yeah, no, I think I'm more positive now about it than when we did Brady Bunch. There were only 3 networks. If you didn't get on the 3 networks, it was goodbye to you. Yeah. But you just shift with the times. And for me, I've been lucky because those 2 shows. There's always interest in those 2 things. Like we did that. If you saw it, we did the reality show where we got the house and they turned the house into the set and stuff like that was on the Discovery Network. And as I said, there's more Brady and Gilligan stuff always in the pipeline. So I'm very lucky about that. And then I try to do my own things, which is like the theater pieces. And I have a feature film coming up. I wrote a feature film about Dr. Mary Walker. I wrote a one-woman show about it that I wrote the book and I directed. And she's the only woman to win the Congressional Medal of Honor. There's been 3,400 men and 1 woman. And so that play is a one-woman play. It plays around the country. And I've sold that as a feature film. So that will be a big major picture, coming up.
Wow.
So, but it was like, that's what there's a thing I use called the path. How do I create something and get it into the right place, with a movie or a play? And so that's the path. So even before I start actually writing something, I start thinking, how am I going to get this done? And then I forge ahead. It's like here, I'm talking to you guys, and this is to get people aware of this classic couples counseling. And so that's you're part of my path.
and of course you're part of our path too, because again, when we launched this show, now granted, we never realized, when we launched the show, it was actually an up and coming country artist interview.
That's
show.
the roots,
That's the roots,
and it evolved.
And COVID made us evolve.
It did.
Okay.
Because basically, once COVID happened, I realized, all entertainment's going to need a place to talk, and we're going to give it to them.
That is very smart. See, you've done the same thing. Great, good for you.
And so we get exactly where all of our guests come from, because we're in that hunt, we're chasing that dream. We want to eventually be the Bobby Bones show, the Kelly Clarkson show, and all that. So we're chasing the same dream as y'all are, just on a different platform.
I've done some country stuff, by the way. I did a play several years ago in Birmingham, Alabama, called Phantom of the Opry.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Phantom! I love the name there. Love the title.
It's a country version of Phantom of the Opera, and I used 25 country songs, and we had a very good run there. But Grand Ole Opry, and I met with Grand Ole Opry and then talked about maybe teaming up, but they own the word Opry. Believe it or not, they own the word Opry.
Oh, wow.
I did not know they owned that.
And so I was able to do the one production, but they kind of clamped down, and so I haven't done more with it. And I can't think of a title that is as good as that. Phantom of the Opera.
That's a great title.
It's so magical,
That's like there was, if I remember correctly, there was a church that started as the initials were IHOP, and IHOP didn't like that.
Oh, right. International House of Prayer or something, I think.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So they gave him a lot of money and told him to do something else, probably.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened to the 7-Up candy bar. I don't know if you guys remember this. You might not be old enough, but there was a wonderful candy bar, and it had chocolate over 7 different flavors, like toffee and jelly and stuff. I love that. But 7-Up company didn't like that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, good.
So that went away. Okay.
And that's the tough thing about when you are building a brand and building stuff now. So much has been done. It's, sometimes it can be hard to be creative enough to not be like other people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you this, it's interesting. If you go to try to sell a show at a network, which I do, still a lot, the worst thing you can say is this is a brand new idea. There's never been anything like it. Because they're afraid to risk. So instead, you got to say it's like a Middle East version of Laverne and Shirley meets Casper the Friendly Ghost. I don't know what, but they always have to have those kind of references.
tie it in.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's just like within the music industry. Years ago, people could walk into a label and introduce themselves, and the label would ask them to sing, and if they're good, they'll sign right on the spot. Right. Nowadays, because of social media, they don't want to risk. That you have to have a following. They don't care how good you are, but if you don't have a following, they get you to say, okay, go get a following, and then we'll sign.
Right. That's the same with casting. They want to know how many people are on your website or whatever it is. Oh well.
And it's one of them catch-22s because again, it's easier. Like I tell people with social media, it's easier to be found now, but harder to get traction.
Okay. That's
because people can find you, but the traction's hard because everybody's doing it.
Yeah. I look. Well, I've spoken to groups and stuff. I still say, like, if you want to make a movie or something, just everybody's, these cell phone cameras are almost as good as regular cameras. Just do 5 great minutes, and somebody's going to see it. Yeah. Start with that. And it's
this show is done on a camera, on a phone camera.
It is.
By the way, you look good.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah. I don't know if I look good.
You look great.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's funny about this, my play, Classic Couples Counseling, the idea was so unique, it scared me. I hope I wrote it well enough because it is so different.
It is.
And so people go, wow. Somebody said, how did I ever think about that? Well, I was in therapy and then I left her office. And I said, boy, I was pretty screwed up today. And I wonder what if people are really screwed up, like the Shakespearean characters, and boom.
Oh, wow.
I then wrote this play. So
I love that. Again, when I read that concept, I was like, I'm surprised nobody's created something around all those characters.
I will probably find out when this becomes a hit. Somebody will say, I did that years ago and now I'm suing you.
Yep, that's what you know.
Yeah. I mean, like I tell you, the number of people that have tried to do a Gilligan rescue movie, feature film, and they just think that they can, but it's owned by, my family and Warner Brothers and everybody, but they just, they try.
Love that. So, a lot of people would ask, when did you know you wanted to be in entertainment? I like to go deeper than that.
Okay.
And this might be a different answer than most people since you come from an entertainment family.
Yeah.
When did it click for you that this could also be a career path like it was for your father?
Whoa. If you consider the fact that I got a degree in television writing, so I was there, and while I was there, I was at UCLA. I was part of a comedy team, and my partner was a Black Panther. And we were very political. And it was during that time, that I also started working with Dad. And it came easily to me. I would take regular classes, of course, and I would get B's or something. And then I would get A's and all this stuff. And I couldn't believe why other people weren't getting that. And it just kind of evolved. And I've never done anything else. I had a job in college. I was at a summer camp, but and then the other part of the job was when I was an executive at ABC, and that was less creative because I couldn't do my own shows.
Oh, wow.
I was there for a year, and I was the first guy to go from being a producer because I was so young. I would go from a producer to be working at the network because I was wanted to see what that was about. And then I realized after a year, and they asked me to produce a show called What's Happening. Because I was an executive on that. And they said, would you come over and produce this? And that was the end of my life as an executive.
Oh, wow.
And then it's been show after show. And I've been very, very fortunate. I've been able to do every bit of every one of the media. I mean, it's from half-hour comedies and television to hour dramas to miniseries, and the same in feature films, independent movies, and major studios, and all kinds of theater, musicals, and children's theater, and dramas and things. And
wow.
The project, whatever I come up with, that I feel it has to be in its right form. And I call for me, I'm just making up these terms. I use them for myself. which is a happy project. And the happy project is one that it's in its right form. Because a lot of times you see a movie, so that should be a half-hour show, or I've written books too, and that should be a book, and this should be a this and that. And my job, because all these projects are my children in some way, then my job is to put them in its happy form and then see if I can get it done. And that's how my life has been.
Wow, I love that. Now, as you know, a lot of people, they see you, but they don't see the team behind you. In our opinion, teams never get the love they deserve. But on our show, teams get some love. So take a few moments to tell us about the team that helps you be who you are.
I don't have a team. I mean, I take it back. Whenever I do something, I have to create a team.
Okay.
My wife is always on the team because she's so supportive.
She's part of the team.
Yes.
Yeah, she's so supportive. And I have 2 sons that are also in the business, and they're part of a team. So we work together on some things. But like if we're going to do like this play or a movie or anything, you have to get producing people or wardrobe people or press coverage and press people, and that all creates the team. When I do a project, I bring in the people that I've been comfortable with. And so if a project happens and I need a lighting guy or a cinematographer or something, or even our actors too, I will always go to the people that have made it easy for me.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And
that makes a lot of sense. Because again, you want everything you create, you want success. And yes, you want to give people a chance, but at the same time, in this day and age, it's hard, it's hard to bring new people in when you're comfortable in this arena.
Well, it's, I love to give new people chances. And I read scripts and things from other people all the time. But I know with if I'm casting, I cast in a certain way. I say to the casting director, let me see the 5 people that you think are right for the part.
Okay.
And so they come in, and then none of those are right. Send in 5 more, or whatever. And then I say, now cast this person. They say, well, they never came in. I said, yeah, but that person I've worked with, and it can be better than all the people you're submitting, so that was it. But if one of those 5 people or 10 people is better than how I think my friend would do, or the person I've worked with, I never bring in my friend.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to embarrass either of us,
Like with our show, as we grow, one of my ultimate goals would be is when we're big enough because this has been tough to build this. I mean, we've done over 500 interviews. So we've put everything in this show and everything that we're trying to do is booking. And it's such a struggle. So one of my goals down the road is to be when we get big enough to be able to see another show that's trying to get traction, to be able to pull them with us and say, hey, let's help that show out, because we've had some few doors open for us. So we'd like to open doors for them.
Listen, we all help each other that way. I mean, I'll tell you a funny story. When I was over at Paramount, there was a guy came in selling sandwiches, and so every time I'd buy a sandwich, and he was a very nice young guy. And so we started talking, and he said, I said, what do you want to do? And he said, well, I want to be a writer. Would you read a script that I wrote? So I'd done that before. So I read the script. It was really good.
Oh, wow.
I said to him, would you listen, I'm doing a TV movie. You want to be a dialogue coach and help with actors with the lines. And so that pulled him out of being a sandwich seller. And he went on from there and won 7 Emmy Awards.
Wow.
Oh, that's amazing.
Frasier, stuff. Oh. Peter Casey was his name. And I'll show you how we help other people. Then my older son was in college. You're looking for a summer job, and I didn't have a TV show at the time. So I called Peter up and I said, hi, Peter. And he said, hey, how are you doing? Great. And I said, listen, you got this show and I got this son, and he's looking for a summer job. And Peter said, without me saying anything more, he said, can I call you back in 10 minutes? And I said, yeah. He called back and he said, Andrew starts work on June 14th.
Oh, wow.
And that's how he started. And then he helped Peter's son at one point to do something. So, I mean, you do that. And
yes, full circle.
Networking is again, when it comes to entertainment world, which all the business world is like this, but especially entertainment, like they say in real estate, it's location, location, location.
Right.
With entertainment, it's network, network, network.
That's right. In fact, my younger son, who's living home now because of COVID, and he's working remotely from here. He with his wife and their dog, they moved back here. But I've talked to him because he's not working for a company. He just left that, and now he's kind of independent. And I said, your job is this. Your job is obviously the day has 3 parts. one of the parts you're writing. The other part is for recreation or your family and whatever. The other part is to what I call service the writing, which is make your lunch dates, make your phone calls, catch up with people you haven't seen. And that's how, you go ahead and do it. So
I love that. Because that's like when we build this show right now, we still have side gigs. We deliver food in the evening so that we can stay afloat while we build this.
Yep. So our day is compartmentalized, in different segments.
Absolutely. And you guys were like when we first started talking about just, digging in and doing what you're going to do and believing in what you're doing, that's so important. And you guys are doing that right now, which is great for you. Great.
We appreciate that. And now, speaking of teams, like we did a while ago, we have a third co-host
and family,
Our little 10-year-old son,
Christopher.
We bring on to ask a couple questions. So Sandy's going to go get him.
He's been on almost every show.
Oh, great.
And we've got an almost 3-year-old that when she gets older, she'll be plugged into the show too, because we are a family affair show.
Oh, that's great. No, but the 3-year-old's not going to ask me a question.
She's asleep.
Oh, wake her up. This is great.
But
my whole family just did a Walmart commercial, and it was on all the holidays. It was for all about Christmas, and all that stuff. And it was my wife and I didn't do it, but my wife, my older son, his wife, and my 2 grandchildren were all in this commercial, and it was played all the time. So that's what they grew up. My wife said, "Hey, listen, if our kids grew up on a farm, they'd be farmers. Hey, that's what we do here."
And I think that's the best way to be, because you want to give the example to the next generation, and what better example than to bring them within what you do.
When I taught at UCLA producing, and I said before the first class, I would always say, I want to talk about mathematics. And it wasn't about producing. I said, this is mathematics. The week has 7 days. Don't be a person who doesn't like what they do for 5 days to get the 2 days that they like the weekend. That's called bad math. What you got to do is like what you do for 5 days to get to 2 days you also like. That's 7-0. That's good math. And I don't care whether you go into this business, but for God's sakes, just like what you do. So many people don't like what they do. Oh, horrible.
Exactly. I've got friends of mine where they've been 10, 15 years in their career and they're miserable, and you talk to them and you're like, well, you've got this great, you got this great family, great lifestyle, great career. And they're like, well, that's kind of the problem. I'm like, what do you mean that's the problem? You went to 4 years, 8 years, whatever it is of college for this career. And they're like, well, I did it for my dad. I did it for my family. I did it for guidance counsel. I did it for friends. Everybody, so they really did. Everybody kept saying that you have to go this route for money because what I liked wouldn't make money. And so now they're miserable, and they spent 15 years in their career that they could have been doing something that they're passionate about.
Now, Chris, we're not asking you to quit school and go into something that you like. You have to still go to school,
Yes. Okay, hi, Lloyd. So what's your favorite food?
What'd you say?
I said, what's your favorite food?
Food.
What's my favorite food?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, I live in the San Fernando Valley. I could hamburger my way across the valley floor. I could go to every different one along there. What's your favorite food?
Mine is pizza.
Pizza's good. My one of my grandsons, that's all he eats. He won't eat anything except chicken strips and pizza.
He would do the same if we fed it to him only.
Yeah. So what grade are you in?
I'm in 4th grade.
4th grade. Okay. So you're just starting to do not algebra, but heavier mathematics now or something?
Yep.
Yes.
He loves math. He homeschooled right now. So
okay. My oldest grandson is in 4th grade and he loves math too.
Okay, so what's your favorite TV show?
My favorite TV show, let me see. Right now, it's the Ram football games. But other than that, I think it's a little too old for you, but Curb Your Enthusiasm, I like that show. Let me see. There's a show, there are a lot of things on Netflix, which is interesting because I don't watch too much network television now. I watch Netflix and all. There's a great show on there called The Great about Catherine, in Russia. So I like that. I like almost any history thing, anytime they have a history show, especially like Ken Burns stuff, I don't know if you ever see that. like the Civil War and those kind of shows?
We saw the country music one. that
Oh
he
yeah,
did.
that was great.
That was really open and eye-opening because we love country music, and it was like watching the history of it and something I didn't know. Because you have a lot of people in this day and time talking, oh, that's not real country, this is real country and all that. But that they say that the real country is Johnny Cash, and we love Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
But based on that country music movie. The episodes, he even talked about how in Johnny Cash's day, he was also said that he was not country music.
Right.
So every generation goes through that.
But you know what? It's like you're dating, and are you going steady? Are you going steadily? Are you going, whatever these terms are? Chris, you probably don't have a steady girlfriend yet. I'm sorry. Maybe you do. I don't know. You're probably more mature than I was at your age. But there are all those definitions. And I think it doesn't matter. Do you like the song or not? What was that song, Old Post Road or something that was a big hit recently?
Oh, Old Town.
Yeah, Old Town Road.
Yeah. Now that was all mixed up with country and this, and it was a great song. So
we loved it.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. And I think it's all blending now. It's one way or the other. So, yeah.
I'm with you.
Oh, mine is SpongeBob.
Oh, SpongeBob, good. Yeah. Yeah, there's it's unfortunate because with the pandemic, we were all going to go see the musical of SpongeBob SquarePants. It was coming to Los Angeles, and it got canceled the run.
Oh, wow.
But that's a great show. How did they sell that? My wife and I always say, how did you go into the network? Say, I want to do a show about a sponge that lives at the bottom and it's square and and there's these other starfish people running around. They're going, how do you, if I was a network, I would have thrown the people out of the office. I said, what are you, crazy?
You know what? Talking about network people, we had a guy on our show back in the early days where he was one of the big labels at one point he worked for. And I asked him what was one of his biggest mistakes as an executive, and he no longer worked with this label, so he could admit this. But he said at the very beginning when he first started, he says there's two country music people that came to him that he would not sign, said they would never work. And one was Jason Aldean and the other was Kenny Chesney. And he said that was his biggest mistake ever.
Those stories are legendary. The people at Universal, and they wanted to do Star Wars, and they said, no, it'll never work. And they threw them out, and then one kind of went on. Listen, watch the Oscar speeches. Every person gets up and said, no studio wanted to do this. And at the last minute, or every actor gets up, they wanted everybody else. And they finally got down to me. And, it's the history of our business. Look, Gilligan's Island, which is arguably a big hit, it was called the worst show in the history of television when it went on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, hey, things stand the test of time.
All right, he's got one more question.
Yes,
Please
okay,
go.
So what's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie this year of these movies, I'm not a fan of this year's movies very much. I don't like Marvel movies. I'm sorry. You probably go to all those. My kids and my grandchildren love those. I don't like those very much. Let me see. I just saw this movie called Belfast, which I thought was really good. I would probably go for that. And Don't Look Up. I think there's a movie out that I like this year. I don't know. Those are probably, we have different tastes, I'm sure, in movies.
Because what's yours?
Mine is the Minions movie.
The which movie?
Minions.
Minions. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm going to tell you a story about Minions. This is a true story that people don't know. They were the very first Minion movie, which wasn't called the Minions. I don't remember what it was, but it was the first movie the Minions were in. The director was there, and they needed one of the Minions. This is an animated thing, and it's very expensive animation. And they needed a Minion to go across the room, and there had to be something to get him over there. Up until that moment, the Minions had never spoken. They never made a sound. And so this director said, whatever they Minion talk. And the executives, when they heard that when they first saw it, they said, put that in all over the place. And he still does all the voices of the Minions. The guy who directs.
Oh, wow.
But it was only because, like we talk about, necessity being the mother of invention.
He created his own job.
It would have been, they didn't know how to get him over there. That's how that happened.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, bye. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, he loves being. He's been on almost every episode, and he loves it. In fact,
I can sure tell. I can sure tell who Sonny is, by the way.
Yep, you're mini me.
Yep, definitely my mini me.
Yes.
He's a perfect mix of both of you guys.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it. I said, what are some sources of inspiration for you?
Let me see. I think it's like when I hear I remember Lionel Bart wrote Oliver, and I really loved that. And then when I found out, and that's why he's an inspiration, when I found out he couldn't write or read music, he just sang it, and somebody else wrote it down. And I said, I can do that. And then I started the Children's Theater, and I wrote my first play there. Shakespeare, of course, is an inspiration. I mean, just because of, it's his vast ability, his ability to write all different forms, comedy and dramas and histories, it's broken down. I had one thing was a fascinating story that I tell everybody I work with. I'm glad I haven't worked with you, so you're going to hear this story. But, I was watching a performance of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and it was a little theater in Hollywood. And sitting next to me, this was a dress rehearsal. Sitting next to me was Tennessee Williams.
Oh,
and
yes.
He was rewriting the play, and it already won Pulitzer Prizes and Tony Awards, and he was still rewriting. Isn't that interesting?
That is. Oh, wow. Who would have thought? Yeah.
And I was fortunate a few years ago to go to several parties where Neil Simon was. And so we talked a lot about writing and how he writes and like that. I don't have, obviously nowhere near his fame or his, success, but just how he writes was interesting in talking about that, because there isn't a right way to do that. I've taught writing, and people say, do you do this? Do you make outlines? Do you, it's everybody works differently.
Yeah.
So just tailor it to how you do it.
The one thing is I don't write any of my own stuff. My characters write all of it. So I just put the idea in front of me, and then I write down what they're saying to each other, and I'm amazed what they come up with.
Awesome. Now, what would you like for your legacy to be in the entertainment industry? What would you like to be most known and remembered for?
I'm hoping this new play, because I really like this one, this classic couples counseling. You know what I'm going to be remembered for, though I don't really. I threw the ball that hit Marcia in the nose.
The football. Yes, everyone remembers that scene.
So I don't want to be remembered for that necessarily, but that's what people talk about the most. So.
Wow.
Now, was that scene in there, or did it accidentally happen?
Oh, no. That was in there. In fact, we had two prop men who were older. I was 20 in my 20s, and they kept missing her with the ball. And it was like a Nerf ball. And so I said, give me the ball. Maureen, go stand over there. And boom,
I'll do it.
I hit her, and there you are.
Wow. That legendary
So
scene.
it wasn't supposed to be you at first, but then you were like, you know what? They kept missing. I'm going to do it.
That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
I have a lot of these plays are coming, that's what's right on the media horizon, but there is two Brady ones that I can't even tell you what they're about yet, because it's top secret. There's some Brady stuff. I'm hoping, there's another movie I'm working on with Joel Zwick, who directed Big Fat Greek Wedding. So we're talking about there's a play that I rewrote called Viagra Falls. I rewrote it as a movie, and he'd be directing that. So we're talking about doing that, and I don't know. I'm lucky, as I said before. I get up and I figure, what do I want to do today? It's I've been blessed that way.
So let's say that you had a friend of yours that they feel that they're supposed to be in entertainment, and whatever area, whether it's acting, producer, whatever, but they feel that this is what they're supposed to do with their life. What advice would you give that person to kind of help guide them the next few years as they make their move?
Well, it's all different. I mean, actors are far different than writers or like that. I mean, actors can come out to Los Angeles because it's important, because it's where most of the casting's done. Yeah. A lot of people say, I'm going to wait till they offer me a job. Well, that doesn't happen, So I would say that. And then when you get out here, get into a theater group. There's also all of these showcases for actors. So you can get into those. You pay a little bit of money and casting directors see you. Get into a little play. Get out here, and there's Drama. I don't know if it's still, but there are some publications that tell you what movies are being done. And if you want to go into this, is I've given advice, and this, by the way, always works, is if you're trying to get into on a set, or excuse me, on a crew of something, find out a show that you like, call them up and lie and say that you are in a college and you're writing a paper, and can you come and observe? That gets you onto a set. Like when I told you about Peter Casey, he was in a lot because he was selling sandwiches. Get into the place where it's happening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so then when you're on the set, you just see somebody, and then after a day of work or something, if you say, can I take you to lunch and ask you? Now you're talking to a guy and you're paying his lunch, or a woman. And then eventually they're going to say, what do you want to do? And then you now are developed a relationship. Now that will work. It will work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So as we start to close out here, what's a piece of advice, or what have you learned from your dad?
I learned that two things are equally important and nothing more important than them. And that is whatever you're working on, and then the people you're working with. And so many people, run over people, and, they're not good to people. My dad was wonderful that way. And so just also, if you're going up for a job, never ask, how much do I make right away? Never ask, how long do I have to be here? Going into any meeting, even what we're talking about now, what do you want? What do I want? Try to think about what the other person wants, and just try to fit into that. I think that's very valuable advice.
All right. We have one more set of questions. So what was your personal favorite episode of the Brady Bunch and also Gilligan's Island?
Okay. My favorite thing is, I'm very anti-gun, by the way. And so we did an episode where Bobby had a hero of Jesse James.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
And at the end of that episode, he turns in his toy guns, which,
Oh, wow.
I don't think the NRA would be too happy with me about that one, but
right. Yeah.
And then the Gilligan episode, which was first of all the rescue movie, because I produced that and I was in it. My wife was in it. I like that. But also the one where there's a dictator landed on the island, and it was very philosophical because he started turning the people against themselves. And
seems like I remember that one.
Yeah.
Nehemiah Persoff played that part, and he was great. And it was, again, Gilligan made a lot of statements that way. My dad's thing about Brady and Gilligan, he said the most important thing in the world is people have to learn to get along. And whether it's two families coming together or 7 people who shouldn't be together and now they're stuck on an island, we need each other to get along. Take a look at the world right now. If we all would work together to make this better, be it for climate change or the politics of all of this, if we all would work together, it would be so much better. But
yes, absolutely. That's what the world needs for sure.
Yeah.
So as we close out here, tell everybody how they can find you and find your shows.
Oh, okay. For Classic Couples Counseling, they can go to www.theaterwest.org, and there'll be a thing on there how to get tickets. And actually, if you go to that website, if people are trying to get in touch with me personally, they always forward me mail or emails or something. So I'm always happy to talk to people and help people out if I can.
Love that. We really enjoyed having you on the show today, and we definitely look forward to having you back.
Well, I like talking to your son the most, by the way.
Everybody says that.
I'm happy to come back, and I want to talk to the 3-year-old when I come back too.
Yes,
sounds
Caitlin.
good.
Her name's Caitlin.
Okay.
Yes, sounds great.
You have a blessed day.
Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.